As I was signing up for my locals recently, I had to decide between playing Strive or trying out 2xKO. I wasn't sure which to play because I'm interested in both games, but ultimately I came to the conclusion that I was going to play 2xKO more casually, compared to Strive. But that got me thinking, how do I play it casually? What does that even mean? I never really stopped to consider what does that actually entail. In many ways, casual can just mean not sweating, but I wanted to be more specific. So let's reflect on what the functional differences of the two terms are, as well as its middle ground. What makes someone a sweat? Aren't all fighting game players, by the competitive nature of the game, trying to win? Doesn't that mean everyone's sweating? Sort of, but I think what distinguishes a sweat from others is in their focus, time investment, and mindset. When you're sweating, you're focused on winning, and to win, you must improve. Thus, that's how you structure your game time and your goals. You're in-game looking to practice, lab out some new ideas, watching replays. You're looking to grow, and your goals are similarly set up where you're trying to execute new things in matches, practice your matchups, and probably not touching any other non-ranked content. And to make all of that improvement, you need to practice a lot. Sweats tend to dedicate a lot of time into playing the game, studying the game, watching others play the game, and taking in content about the game. More than they realize, sweats use a lot of their free time on the game because they want to improve, and that's where their focus is. Lastly, it's the mindset. It's the competitive spirit, where it's you against the world and you want to come out on top. You want to showcase your skills, prove to yourself that you're capable, and triumph. Maybe get a shiny, badass rank to go with it. So, if these are the elements that make a sweat, then how does this compare to the casual? Don't they also look to improve, spend time playing the game, and compete? Yeah, they do. The pillars are the same. The intention behind them, however, that's where they differ. So these pillars, focus, time investment, and mindset, how do they differ in a casual's mind? I think it just comes down to intensity and end goal. Where a sweat will put their focus on winning and improving, that's not necessarily a casual's focus. A casual wants to win, of course, and a casual wants to improve, of course. But they want those things because it's enjoyable. It's fun winning and improving. This isn't to say that the sweat doesn't enjoy their wins and improvement. Of course they do. But compared to a casual, that's not front and center. That's not the focus. This is also why a casual's time investment isn't as high, because their focus isn't on improvement. They don't feel driven to play and practice constantly. They may still spend a lot of time playing the game, but that time is less focused on improvement and more so for enjoyment, just having fun playing the game. In both of those cases, the commonality is that fun is the goal. Improvement is in there too, but it's not the top of the list. And that's the difference. This changes one's mindset where things a sweat is driven towards, such as frequent study and play, the casual instead can be content with what they've achieved. There isn't the same drive to excel as a sweat has chosen. They look to enjoy the game as they are, comfortable with their skill level. But there's always room to improve. Between these two though, there's a middle ground. A great term that you'll see on many a t-shirt. The casual tryhard, a person that in many respects is still a casual, but they put in whatever they can to improve. They have that competitive spirit, absolutely, but they may never actually compete. What happens when you want to get Vanquisher, but you only have a few hours a week to play? Or when you read about and study up on the game a lot, but you don't have the practice to actually implement what you know? You're trying real hard. I poke fun, but it's not a bad thing. Plenty of us aspire to be great at many things, but we just don't have the time or capacity for it. And I think that's where the casual tryhard is at. It's people that have that focus on improvement, they put in as much time into the game as they can, and they may even have that competitive spirit. But we can't all make it there. Does that make them a non-sweat? Aren't they still sweating, just not to the same degree? A fair point, and that begs the question of what differentiates a sweat from a tryhard. I think the line can be blurry for sure. The difference, I think, usually comes down to dedication. How dedicated are you, ultimately, to improving or competing? You can be intensely dedicated to your character for a month before you go off to another character or another game. Or maybe you fight real hard on ranked, but you never actually join any tourneys or test yourself in long sets. There's a marked difference between the level of competition a sweat looks to put themselves in and a tryhard who still focuses on improvement, but perhaps not to that same degree. Or perhaps that tryhard is on the other end. They focus on fun, like a casual, but their fun comes from improvement, so they still don't care either way, win or lose, or they like testing themselves in competitive environments, for the fun of it. Either way, I think many dedicated players fall into this category. The desire to improve and have fun and competition is interweaved, and that's true for all types of people. Perhaps others will disagree with the way I've defined these labels, and that's fair. There are many different definitions that can be constructed. I wouldn't be surprised if these definitions change depending on the type of game that's even being played. But regardless of the definition, a casual is a casual, and you know what? That's me.